Welcome to the Two Fat Guys and Album Podcast, your weekly dive into iconic albums and our search for the modern classics. No one knows what it's like to be the host man, to be the most man behind blue eyes. No one knows what it's like to be the maestro, to be quite slow, to telling only lies.
Horrified.
This week we are covering the 1971 classic rock masterpiece, Who's Next by The Who. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more in-depth reviews, discussions, and music analysis from two fat guys who love talking about music no matter the genre. I am Mike Blackburn. I will be your aforementioned host and narrator. And with me, as always, is my good friend, the maestro of music, the siren of sound, the doctor of the diminished chord, Brek Hufnus. Welcome, maestro.
When do I get editorial powers over the introduction?
You know, I was saying that like 10 times before we started.
That I should have editorial powers?
No, that I read what I was going to say.
Yeah, there was a part towards the end there that you hadn't.
I said blah, 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 blah. I would just kind of end that.
Yeah, great.
Well, you might have not picked up on it because you are quite slow, telling only lies. All right.
So
this is the point in the show where we do some cleanup on aisle 5, anything we missed from the last show, nuggets and...
Yeah, last week we did Chirping Crickets by Buddy Holly.
The legend, the late, great Buddy Holly.
Yeah, and Tragically Hips fully, completely.
Yeah.
So, great show. Yeah, just in time.
I'm for those on the... on audio, I'm showing off my brand new Tragically Hip T-shirt.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Thank you.
It's very nice. So, with topics such as those, you can't help but have some leftover nuggets.
No, sure.
So I have a few leftover nuggets.
Despite like a 2-hour show.
Oh, I know. So here we go. The Crickets.
Yeah.
The band The Crickets, minus Buddy Holly,
Sure.
went on performing after he left the band. They stayed together as The Crickets.
I think I recall that.
Yeah, and they actually stayed together until, and I had the date last week. I don't have the date this week, but up until the 2000s at least, they had stayed together continuously, and they had rotated members and everything like that. But they had stayed together. But when they did their final concert, they did it at the Surf Ballroom in Clear Lake, Iowa. Which I think was pretty cool.
Going back to the
last show that they did with
Buddy Holly.
Well, actually, they didn't do it with Buddy Holly, but that was Buddy Holly's last show. By the time that performance had come around, they weren't touring together. They had already separated. But in a nice homage to Buddy, they did their final performance there. So Buddy Holly died in a tragic plane crash.
Yep.
And his wife was pregnant at the time.
Yeah.
And found out about the plane crash on the news, like on a radio report.
Yep.
And sadly, she believes it caused her to lose the baby.
Yeah.
The stress of it. And as a result of that incident, it has become media policy to not report on a person's death until the family has been notified. So when you hear on the news the
withholding
names, it goes back into the tragic, the multiple tragedies involving Buddy Holly's passing.
Well, that's horrible. Not only do you lose your husband, but you lose your unborn baby.
Yeah, terrible. Yeah. But that's an interesting thing that policy originated there. I know we have. Well, the show has a policy of doing no compilation albums at this juncture.
We do. Well, I think there's so many great albums we don't need to start going best ofs.
And I know where you're coming from with that. But in our discussion of Buddy Holly, you had mentioned that some of his stuff just sounds like 50s Happy Days music. Yeah.
Yeah, very much right out of American Graffiti or Happy Days or something like
Right.
that. It's oldies.
Oldies. But I contend that actually Buddy Holly was very progressive and had songs that to me were more Buddy Holly-ish than others. I mean, it's how I feel about it. And so for All Killer, No Filler, because even on the Chirping Crickets album, I thought there were really only 4
Sure.
kind of progressive Buddy Holly type songs, and the others were sort of doo-woppy and of a more traditional 50s rock thing. So even on that album, there were only, to me, 4 really great songs. But for All Killer, No Filler, you can check out 20 Golden Greats, Buddy Holly Lives. And even though the show does not like compilations, Rolling Stone has ranked that album number 166 of all time.
You know, if I just don't think we should be doing compilations on the show. So
That's fine.
That is our policy. But you know, if you would have asked me in 30 years ago what I thought one of the best albums of all time was, you know, or list the top albums, there would probably be some compilations on it. Eagles' greatest hits.
No, like, and I agree.
You know.
In some sense, it's cheating.
Yeah.
And when you're talking, right, I only bring it up.
There's a history piece to this podcast.
Yes.
And I think taking the albums as they recorded in that space and time is important.
I think that's fair. But Rolling Stone does have actually more than one compilation album in their top 500. And Buddy Holly's 20 Golden Greats, and again, only being active for a year and a half, 18 months about.
Right.
And come up with 20 amazing songs.
Yeah.
So
what's the name of that again?
20 Golden Greats. Buddy Holly Lives.
Oof. All right.
Yeah.
Could have rethought that name. I don't know. Yeah.
I didn't do it. You had said something last week about you had research in your hand. Actual research paper.
Yes.
Did your daughter find that for you, or
keep moving there? The host does research. The show has a crack team doing research.
So I heard that as a yes. But what was the premise again of your research paper?
You're asking me to remember a whole.
Well, it just had a premise. It just the main idea was
right that let's see if I can do this. That if that when an artist dies, there's a surge in popularity, and that surge may be greater than the way the artist was kind of viewed when he was alive.
Okay.
So he became, that artist, and I shouldn't use he, but that artist becomes,
bigger than life,
bigger than
so
real life. Gathers a whole different sort of legacy behind him because of the tragedy of his death.
And I, without reading the entire paper, I mean, I agree with the premise that when somebody tragically passes away, suddenly, unexpectedly passes away, there's a
enormous spike in sales and interest.
Sales, right. Whether or not it exceeds their popularity is a different topic. But I will say, not only did Buddy Holly die tragically, but so did the lead singer of the Tragically Hip, who died of cancer. Not suddenly, but unexpectedly at a relatively young age. Yeah. Gord Downie. But to your point, many of the band's albums climbed the Canadian charts when he passed away. The day following Downie's death, the album Your Favorites rose to number 2 in the chart. Another 10 albums moved to the top 200, and streaming increased 700%.
Correct. And they actually addressed the tragic deaths, the sudden deaths versus the we see it coming deaths.
Exactly.
So in this era, we are going to see some of our favorites pass away just because of age.
They're getting up there, yeah.
Right. So that's going to start happening more and more as these artists get into their 80s and 90s.
Yes.
So,
but their legacy has already been
established. But like when Prince died, his sales in the next 2 months jumped 16,000%.
Yeah, it's crazy.
we just saw the last band member of the band pass away a few months ago, and there was really no.
Right, it kind of went quietly.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with Brian Wilson or.
Yeah, that's a good Sly Stone. I mean, I will say I've heard many tributes to them on the radio.
Sure.
So there's certainly a lot of retrospectives happening. Whether I do not know whether their sales have gone up.
We had another guy die. People always say that you die in threes, and we had another.
Did you find a term paper on that?
No, but my computer went to sleep.
Oh no.
And I can't remember, like Goldberg or something, Spirit in the Sky guy.
Oh really? I did not know that.
So the only reason it stuck with me, so we all know the song "Spirit in the Sky."
Yeah.
Gonna go when you die. Da, da, da,
My version sounds different from that, but I think it's the same song.
The interesting thing there is all three of them were 82.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I don't know if there'd be a spike in sale to any of those. I'm assuming Brian Wilson will have some sort of spike in sales. Well, it wasn't shocking that he died. It was I wasn't
right.
He
He had been sick for a while, and so was Sly Stone.
He had issues.
Yeah.
It does mean that pretty soon we should move Pet Sounds, I think, into the
rotation.
We're into rotation here to kind of do that.
A lot of people like that album.
Yeah. No, it's. Uh-oh.
So that's
foreshadowing.
Yeah. So that's those are my nuggets.
That's cool.
Yeah.
The only thing I thought was interesting to talk about today is we're doing the Who.
Yes.
And without getting into the album, the Who is kind of one of those bands. We've already kind of done the Doors, that are the foundational bands to classic rock.
Yeah.
And I would argue that the Who is kind of the greatest rock and roll band in history. Everything your mother warned you about rock music, it was the Who. It wasn't just the music, the albums they put out. It wasn't just their breakthrough stuff with some of the rock operas like Quadrophenia and Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the stage show. It was, Pete Townsend smashing the guitars. It was Keith Moon misbehaving in every hotel, and they were the personification of rock.
He actually checked out of a hotel and then went back because he forgot to throw the TV out the window.
Yeah, I mean, so this is a band with amazing kind of musical prowess, right?
Mm-hmm.
The music they produced is a lot of that foundational stuff to all the music we love.
Right.
I mean, this album 71?
Yes.
And they've already done, wasn't Tommy earlier?
Yes. It was the album just prior to this.
They performed at Woodstock, which was a whole wormhole I went down this week.
Yes.
But everything you think about of a rock and roll band was really the Who.
Okay.
You're not buying it?
Am I allowed to rebut this, or do we just... I think you make a compelling case. They are definitely... Well, first of all, I would...
So in summation, just to sum it up so you can get a complete rebuttal here.
Right.
You have the musical skill and prowess,
Mm-hmm.
in songwriting, everything. You have the live performance that were insane.
Yes.
The kind of the
persona.
Yeah, that thing you think about. Rock musicians just smashing their, disrespecting their smashing.
Right.
That was them.
Right.
That was Pete Townsend.
Yep.
The pioneering rock opera.
Yep.
Tommy.
We're getting into the entire legacy thing. But yes.
And their enormous influence on what came after. I mean, that kind of makes up. It's hard to
but
argue
you're saying they're the number one rock
They're
band.
The greatest rock band in history.
Okay.
From that whole thing. Are there better studio musicians? Yes. Are there better songwriters? Yes. Are there better live performers? Maybe. But they're the complete package.
Mm-hmm.
They are the package of a rock band.
For those listening, we just got the drop the mic signal, which is a bit premature. So I will say my two favorite bands. Not.
Yep.
This
no,
is
here you.
okay. Are the Beatles and Pink Floyd?
Sure.
Okay. So then, if you're telling me the Beatles are a pop band and not a rock band, then fine. Okay. Then we can put them to the side.
They didn't have the live show.
No, they didn't. Well, they did. Actually, the Beatles probably one of the greatest live performers ever as well, but only for a couple of years. So I would put the Beatles as being amazing live performers. They just didn't do it for the entirety of their career. I
assume there's many albums they didn't tour on.
Right. No, they
Many.
stopped touring in 65, 66 maybe was their last tour, I think, coming out of
All right.
Revolver, maybe.
All right, I stand with the Who.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
We could do an entire show on this instead of cramming it into.
If you want to declare a 45,
I am declaring a 45.
we can argue this in another show.
I'm declaring a 45 because I think you need to pick the microphone up, and but I don't want to waste all my bullets right now. I will give you this. I think the Who are for sure Mount Rushmore of rock and roll.
Yeah.
And I will throw in Led Zeppelin.
Mm-hmm.
I will throw in the Rolling Stones.
Sure.
And then you could probably figure, Pink Floyd or Queen, someone like that belongs in there. So I will give you the Who as being on the Mount Rushmore, no question. But I think there are some other bands that deserve consideration.
All right. Well, stay tuned and look forward to an upcoming 45.
Where I think
the Who is the greatest rock band in history.
I think it's a great topic. And I'm not even going to say you're wrong at this point, even though it's hard not to. Just for the sake of foreshadowing and.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, as we said in the opening, you take a while. You're a little slow on some of this stuff.
Well, we could do an hour on this right now if you want.
No,
But yes, the Who, Mount Rushmore of rock and roll, everything you said, I agree with. And they're a massive, massive band.
So as you're building your argument for the 45, the upcoming 45,
yeah,
it's musical prowess,
okay,
live performance, pioneers, and influence.
I mean, when you say musical prowess, do you mean skill on the instrument? Because you've casually omitted things like how many albums, how many top 100 singles, how many whatever. Like you've just
whatever you want to do with the studio, you can interpret that as you will. I would put Keith Moon up against.
My point being, these other bands have more songs. So here's a fun fact. And
you just can't resist, can you?
Well, I can't because all right.
This happens in real life where his head kind of explodes and he can't get out an argument.
No, I can get out an argument. I just can't believe the nonsense that you spew, and then you set the rules to favor what you think is true and casually eliminate things that are against your argument. And then you
didn't set these rules. These are the show's rules.
So you just casually it doesn't matter how many good songs they had.
I didn't say that.
You did. You actually did. You actually did say that.
Play that back.
Yeah.
Chauncey, get on that.
So I want here's a bullet. I'm just gonna little tidbit.
Mm-hmm.
I did a small amount of research on this because I had an entire 15 minutes to prepare for this. But one
Usually
of the things,
best ways to do this.
but one of the things I looked up was just Rolling Stones. What are the top 50 songs by The Who? The top 50 songs by Rolling Stones. The top 50 songs by Led Zeppelin. It's about as far as I got. The Rolling Stone. Led Zeppelin has a Rolling Stones top 50 song list on Rolling Stones, the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Rolling Stones, the band, has a top 100 songs listed. Okay. The Who have a top 40 songs listed.
I'm not arguing. So that is one category.
Okay.
And I'm just saying they check all of the boxes.
They're a great band. They're on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
I don't think you can drop the mic at this moment.
Well, I did. All right.
Pick it up, back up.
Okay. Well, speaking of dropping things.
Yes.
You want to drop the needle inside one?
Oh, I saw what you did there.
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rock. In the red corner, an album that needs no introduction. Ranked number 77 by Rolling Stone. This triple platinum rock masterpiece was released in 1971 and charted at number 4 in the US and number 1 in the UK. Performed by Hall of Famers and Rolling Stone's number 29 greatest artist of all time, The Who. This is Who's Next? And in the blue corner, two fat guys. This is Two Fat Guys and an album.
Side one, we got quite the monumental album sitting in front of us here.
Yes, it is.
So we start usually with kind of talking about the band and band members.
Yeah.
Want to run through who we have here?
Yeah, you've got some of the greatest musicians, rock musicians of all time, there's no doubt. Roger Daltrey, vocalist, Rolling Stone 109th greatest singer, probably better than that, I would say even. Pete Townshend, Rolling Stone 37, he's the primary songwriter, played the guitar, did the synth programming and things like that. So he was probably one of the major creative forces on this album. Interesting thing about going backwards to Roger Daltrey, I had never really thought of him in this vein before, but he was mostly an interpreter of Pete Townshend's songs. Pete wrote most of the music.
Mm-hmm.
And then handed it over to Roger Daltrey. And so it just makes me think of someone like...
So stop. So you said wrote the songs.
Pete Townshend was the songwriter. He wrote the lyrics. And
So that includes the melody?
Yes.
So he has a melody, but it's still...
Somebody has to sing it.
Correct.
Yeah. And so Roger Daltrey brought that to life. His interpretation... and I don't know exactly how much input Pete had on how the overall interpretation was. I imagine there was some back and forth with it, but ultimately Roger was the guy making it happen. It's almost like being, say, a baseball manager who, sets the plan, but the players got to go out and do it. And Roger Daltrey was the guy with the voice.
So how much does like a producer or something have and all that?
Well, they can have a lot to do, and Pete Townshend was the producer on this album along with John Glynns. John Glynns was co-producer credit, but Pete Townshend was producer.
Didn't he also have songwriting credit?
He did have songwriting credit. Well, that's what I'm saying. He wrote all the songs except for My Wife.
My Wife.
Yeah, and he generally, later, Daltrey wrote some songs, but Pete Townshend was the primary songwriter for The Who. And the only reason it kind of brought it up is I think about, say, someone like Joe Cocker, who just went into the Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. And one of his criticisms was that he didn't write his own songs.
Sure.
Right. But neither did Roger Daltrey. And so even though we think of The Who as a band and they work together as a band, It just made me think of Roger a little bit differently, and not taking anything away from him at all. Actually, making it more interesting for me is that he was able to take these songs and bring his own interpretation to them. Like, that was his superpower, when it comes to this
right.
band.
So like the Beatles, they played what they wrote. Often.
Saying what they wrote.
Saying what they wrote.
Yeah,
yes.
right. So if it was primarily a John composed song, John sang it. If Paul wrote it, Paul sang it. But they collaborated quite a bit. They worked off. They were still really a great songwriting team.
Sure.
But yes, they were mostly singing songs that they primarily wrote.
So do you know, so I assume Jim Morrison was at least the lyricist on The Doors. Sorry.
Actually, no.
No?
No.
But like Queen,
So let's go
Freddie
back.
Mercury?
So let's go back and listen to the Doors episodes. Okay, so let's go with no.
Okay.
Yeah. Jim Morrison wrote some of the songs. Robbie Krieger wrote some of the more popular songs by the Doors. Queen, I'm not sure how they did it. They had shared songwriting. They all were songwriters.
Yeah.
John Deacon, I know, wrote
because they had a boatload of musical skill in that band.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think they collaborated a bit. And as we've talked about before, the songwriter gets paid for being a songwriter. The band gets paid for the sound of the music, the recording of the music, but the songwriter owns the song. So Pete Townshend made more than Roger Daltrey.
Right. So, okay, you got a band like the Grateful Dead.
Mm-hmm.
No one argued their musical, but they had a lyricist.
They had a lyricist who also collaborated on some songs, but yeah, right.
And then
Robert Hunter, correct?
Meatloaf
had John Steinman,
right.
Was performing.
So no one questioned Meatloaf's musical.
Well,
I would think of him in like the Roger Daltrey vein of just here's some lyrics.
And now make it happen.
Bring them to life.
Yeah, those are good examples. I only bring it up because, number one, I had never really considered that before.
Sure.
And number two, it's more defensive Joe Cocker because I know that's a common sort of, if you're going to knock Joe Cocker, it's kind of because he wasn't a songwriter, but he was an interpreter of other people's music, and he did a great job of it. And like you said, Meatloaf was an interpreter of other people's music, and Daltrey was an interpreter of other people's music. So, okay, going on, you have John Entwistle, who passed away in 2002. He's Rolling Stone's number 3 bass player.
Number 3?
Number 3, and deservedly so. There's no, and number 1 is James Jamerson, the Motown bassist, and number 2 is Charles Mingus, who's a prolific jazz bassist and super, just great. So John Entwistle, and he's amazing. I don't know if you've ever considered like how deeply you've listened to it from instrument to instrument when you listen. Right. So you're going to need to go back and listen to this album because the bass lines are what make the music. He is playing lead bass. All right. And I know you have that smirky, you're hearing this from a bass player thing, but one of the things that makes him great is he's playing what I would call lead bass. And it's Paul McCartney was sort of an originator of this, more melodic bass lines, not just playing boom, 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 just like, or walking bass lines or something, but just really, really active bass lines. Brian Ritchie from the Violent Femmes is another one that I've referred to as playing lead bass. When you think of Pete Townshend on guitar, if you listen, he's not shredding. He's playing chords. He's playing long notes. He's doing his windmill thing.
Yeah, I love the windmill.
Right. It's
I would windmill if
it's
I could.
Lots of look, and I'm taking nothing really away from him when I say this. But there's not really most of the time a lead guitar in The Who. There's a rhythm guitar. Yeah. The lead guitar is the bass.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to check that out. John Entwistle is playing lead bass. Pete Townshend's putting on an amazing show. He's
That's
hopping
100%.
around like a maniac. He's kicking his legs. He's windmilling. He's busting up his instrument. Meanwhile, John Entwistle is like standing still, just like doing impossible things.
That was actually the smirk. He is the quintessential bass player.
He is the quintessential bass player.
Because he's standing there doing amazing stuff, not moving.
I agree.
And actually, I have a bit from an interview of him that he has owned up that playing the bass for the Who doesn't bore him nearly as much as it once did.
Okay.
And this was from this album.
Yeah.
As it once did, that he's recently taken to pretending he's bored on account of he reckons it looks the nicest with him standing still on stage.
Yeah. No.
And that's what again, this is the quintessential rock and roll band.
Okay, you can stop with that.
Because he just stands there doing the bass thing.
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. He's letting, everybody else gets the spotlight. Daltrey's obviously the lead guy. Townshend hopping around, jumping, doing all his nonsense. He's the guy. He's just the guy holding it all together. So yes, I mean when I think of a bass player, that's what I think of. Yeah, Keith, you can stop pretending to drop the mic. If that's what you're doing. Keith Moon, who we lost in 1978. Rolling Stones' #2 drummer. And also, I don't argue that at all. He, at the same time, is playing the lead drums. So I encourage you, if you haven't, for everybody, if you haven't listened to this album.
I assume one is John Bonham.
John Bonham is #1. Yeah, if you have not listened to how the instruments interact in this band, if you've just sat there and taken it all in as, I like this song, this is, whatever, it's got a good beat, you can dance to it, I can sing along with Roger, whatever you like to do. I love the antics of Pete Townsend. All that stuff is fine. But if you've never taken the time to sort of check out what all the instruments are doing, it's fascinating, and it's why they're so highly ranked. Keith Moon does not keep a traditional drum beat, much in the way John Entwistle doesn't keep a traditional bass rhythm.
All right, you're gonna have to explain that.
Well, Keith Moon, if you just think of the most basic rock beat, usually you just have somebody playing notes on a hi-hat or on a cymbal, da 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 da.
Keeping time.
Just keeping time. Right, just keeping time, and then they do an occasional fill, to mark the phrases, like every 8 bars or something, right? So it's just 2 and da 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 da, something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. He's not doing that. Both of these guys are basically playing solos for the entire song. The bass player is playing a bass solo for the entire song, and Keith Moon is playing a drum solo the entire song. Now, I'm not saying you'll never hear him keep a beat, and certainly his playing keeps a beat, but he doesn't just keep straight time. He just doesn't do cymbal, snare, bass drum. He's working the whole drum set, the entire song, and even on the slower songs, even more so almost on the slow songs, like the ballads, you're going to hear stuff like that, which is incredible that they don't get in the way of the song.
Sure.
Even though they're both super active, the song still is able to breathe.
So it's not the Robert Fripp, less is more to the drummer kind of conversation.
Right. No, that's a good point. It's definitely not less is more. Yeah. When they hired, they asked Keith Moon in an interview how he got to be in the band, and there was the Who had a different drummer. I think they had gotten rid of one drummer and they were starting with another one, and they weren't sure about him. They weren't all into this drummer, and Keith Moon was at one of their performances, and I'm assuming this was a fairly small venue, not a stadium concert or anything, right? This is at the beginning, and this drummer was doing okay. And Keith Moon like went up to them at the intermission and said, "I can do better than that." And they said, "Well, all right." And they let him play, and he like destroyed the guy's drum set, like physically destroyed it, because he hits so hard and he's just banging and doing his Keith Moon stuff. And they said, "Yeah, we'll have you. That's the drummer for us." And then the other funny thing he said is they never actually hired me. I've just been, which is not true, of course. Yeah, sure. But
I assume it's where the Muppets get the character of Animal from.
I would say that's probably a really good, yeah. Keith Moon would be a really good one. Maybe throw John Bonham in there, but an amalgam perhaps. Yeah, but for sure. And he's amazing, just amazing. And so, if you haven't really listened to these songs and pulled apart what's happening with each of the instruments, it's worth doing because I think you'll understand what's happening a little bit better, and you'll understand why they're so highly regarded. And quite honestly, you do have to watch some video, like to understand the live performance aspect of this.
Absolutely.
Because their live performances were off the hook, as the kids say today, I believe. So
which
look, I'm not. They are on the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Unless.
All right.
Yeah. Nicky Hopkins, recent Hall of Fame inductee, played piano on this.
There's a couple of and he's with like the Stones and the Beatles and the Kinks and Steve Miller Band.
All that.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically a session musician who's played with
one of the great session
everybody.
Musicians,
Yeah, and then Glyn Johns, if you want to throw the producer in here, who's technically the associate producer, also a Hall of Famer. He was producer for Let It Be, the Rolling Stones, Zeppelin, the Kinks, Clapton. The list goes on and on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah, and I mean, there's other people who played on this. Leslie West is the co-vocalist for the band Mountain.
Okay.
Is on here. Dave Arbus.
The violin player.
Yeah, he's from East of Eden.
Okay.
Their classic Jigga Jig.
I can't pull it off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's from East Eden. Yeah.
I'll have to listen to the episode,
to that one,
so we'll get to hear what that sounds like.
All right.
We saw the. So I've seen the Who live. We've seen the Who.
We have.
Yeah, we saw them at Alpine Valley.
With Entwistle, like.
No, what? Yes. Yeah. So here, I looked this up, and I was talking about this before, and I was trying to find the details on this because we always sit here and go, "Oh, I think it was like 1984, 1980, whatever." And so I actually looked it up this time because I know when we saw them.
Yeah.
We saw them in 1985 at Alpine Valley, and that had the original. Well, obviously not Keith Moon, but John Entwistle was part of the band.
Yeah.
And so we saw that lineup, and that was their first retirement tour, I believe. I'm almost positive that was when they had said that was going to be their last live tour.
Yeah. And then I saw them at the World.
Yes, so did I.
Right, I think we were on separate dates.
Oh, were we? We were both there. Did you see them? So
and that was like very much at the end of Entwistle. I mean, like a show or two before.
It was after, actually.
Was it?
Yeah, it was immediately after he had passed away. So it was at the Tweed, and I looked it up. Is it the Tweeter Center? With not the World Music Theater.
Same place.
In 2002.
They change names regularly.
Yes, they do. It is the same place. But the Tinley Park Music Theater, which at that time was known as the Tweeter Center, in 2002. It was very soon after Entwistle had died. In fact, I thought they might end up canceling the tour. And this might have been one of the first shows that they had come back. It might have even been the first show after he had passed away. Zach Starkey was playing on drums, who's been hired and fired recently from the band. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I heard he got fired. I didn't know he got rehired.
He got fired. He got hired. He got fired. And the best that I can tell, and of course it's a he said situation, but from what I can gather, there was a misstep in a live performance that Roger Daltrey blamed on Zach Starkey. And Zach Starkey said he went back and listened, like he's not taking any of it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's 2002, and it's 2025 now.
They're still arguing about it?
No, this happened. This just happened.
right.
But that's how long Zach Starkey's been playing with the Who.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think
that's a while.
Yeah, and I think actually even before that. But Zach Starkey said, no, I listened to the recordings and the video, and I didn't miss a beat. Roger Daltrey came in early, which is very true, likely. Like, I believe the drummer more than the vocalist, quite honestly.
Vocalists are...
They sing really well. They sing very well.
They're singing the song, so the musicians should work around them.
Right. Spoken like a vocalist. Spoken like the show.
The show.
Yeah. Pino Palladino is the bassist who stepped in for John Entwistle live, and he's also a studio musician, and he's continued to play with them for quite some time. Don Henley, John Mayer, David Gilmour, Tears for Fears. I mean, he's, again, a top-notch bassist. Sure. Do you remember who opened for The Who at the concert that we saw at Tinley Park?
I want to say it was Robert Plant.
It was Robert Plant.
Who I did not recognize for like the first...
You were like, who's this Led Zeppelin cover guy? Why is this guy doing all Led Zeppelin covers?
Until he did a Led Zeppelin song.
Yeah.
You know.
So I have to say, as far as rock concerts go, to see two of the Mount Rushmores together, in a sense, obviously it wasn't the entire Led Zeppelin, but he did quite a few Led Zeppelin songs. And it was a pretty incredible concert. And it's the first concert I've ever really gone to, because before the days of set lists, you know, where you look up and say, oh, what they're going to play, you know, it'd always be fun to sit there and just go, what's the encore going to be? You'd get about halfway through the show, and you're like, Joe, I wonder what the encore is going to be. And both groups essentially played 20 encore songs. Sure. Straight through the night. Like you'd say, oh, what's the encore going to be? It'd be such and such a song. And then it would be next. Right. And you would only be halfway through the concert. Yeah. So as far as rock concerts go, that's one of the tops on my list.
Yeah. I was voting for Boris the Spider, but they didn't do it. All right. You want to go through...
Do you actually like that song?
I do.
Okay.
Do you want to go through the album itself?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Starts off with Baba O'Reilly. We could spend the whole podcast. This is another 45, by the way. We could do an entire show just on this song.
So, I was going to, you know, this is one of those where I'm like, I should have really asked the question ahead of time, so you could have been prepared. Yeah. But I'm going with you're going to be prepared here. So it opens with some sort of, what I'm assuming is some sort of crazy synthesizer. Synthesizer thing.
The synthesizer.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Synthesizer, whatever.
Yes, I got you.
Yeah.
So I knew this was coming, whether you asked the question or not. Like, that's the story of this song.
Right. So is that...
All right, you ready?
Did they play it? Did they play it live? How did they do that?
Okay. So there's multiple ways to do this. Like, the way you would do it now is different than the way it was done in 1968. Okay? Sure. Or it's 1971, sorry. Yeah. And this was derived from, like, Pete Townshend in his basement studio doing all this, and he had synthesizers and keyboards and all kinds of nonsense.
Way before the synth era.
This is This is
a decade before what we call the synth era.
This is very, very,
so this is very
historically
analog.
Early in synths. Yes, it's for sure not a digital synth. Right. This is all analog synths. You've got like 1/4-inch plugs. Looks like an old phone bank, from when the operators. You see all the operators
calling Millie,
right, and they plug in the thing. That's what a synthesizer kind of looks like, right. In the olden days. So he had, and I swear I don't even understand completely how he managed this, because it wasn't just, like now, you would hit like a button, you'd program the synth, you'd hit a couple buttons, or you could probably buy one and it would just say Baba O'Reilly on it, and you just hit the Baba O'Reilly button.
Right.
That's where it's at now. He had a 1968. This is where 68 came from. Lowery Berkshire Deluxe home organ. Okay, so the Lowery organ has come up before.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
with
This
is Garth Hudson's favorite.
He had the pump.
The pump organ, right?
Yeah.
And Lowery organs, as we've said before, are sort of home organs. They're not considered. You wouldn't take a Lowery organ on the road with
your grandmother had one.
Your grandmother
playing
had
Christmas carols.
Right, and the Hammond B3 was kind of the more common R&B organ at the time. So a Lowery organ, although it keeps popping up, interestingly, was
like
not
Pavement.
is not the most common. And so there's a setting on this. So I just talked about how you could hit a setting that would play like press the button, hit it this, and it plays Bob O'Reilly for you.
Yep.
So the setting on this organ is marimba repeat. A marimba is like a xylophone. It sounds like a little more of a mellower xylophone. It's got a wooden sound to it, and you press the button down, and so you would hear like the sound sort of a marimba, but you would press the button once, and it would go like da 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 da, kind of like that. Okay.
Yep.
And you could set the speed of that repeat, so you could do some adjustments, and then he ran that signal into a VCS3 MK1 synth. So he ran this. That's what I'm saying. Like
we have one here somewhere.
Right. No, this is.
Yeah.
It wasn't like. It was complex. Like the way he derived the sound was complex. And then it went from that synth into an amp triggered by a low frequency oscillator, square wave low frequency oscillator, which is a synth, another type of synth thing. That's how that sound is created, and it's the same way he did Won't Get Fooled Again. And I will say, I love how they were able to incorporate this synth sound and still manage to rock. Like, they didn't lose any of the rock stuff, me. When they did live shows, were they just playing a recording of that? Or? Well, you would have different ways to do it. I think when we saw them, and when they did live shows, they had extra players. They couldn't do this with just 4 people. So to actually play this introduction, you would at some point just have a setting now. You know, it wasn't with the Lowery organ and all this stuff, but you would have a keyboard. And basically, you're pressing, like for all the stuff that's going on, you could come pretty close to playing it. Yeah, I mean, press the button and let it go. It involves like 4 fingers or 5 fingers. I got those. But it's not. It sounds way more complicated than it is. Put it that way, and it can be played live. I've seen them do it. You know, video of them doing it with no keyboard player on the stage. So it could have been recorded, or it could have just been a synth that they hit the button and then the synth goes. Yeah, right. If you see Keith Moon videos, you'll see he's wearing headphones. They oftentimes performed with click tracks, which would sound like a metronome. The other amazing thing about this song was that came first. That synth track came before everything. And then they wrote a song around that. Right. And so when they were singing and performing... Very Paul Simon-esque with Graceland. Yes, very much like that. And so the click track was that keyboard sound, that synthesizer sound was what they would hear in their headphones when they were recording this song. All right, well, I told you we could do an entire show on Bob O'Reilly. Here's something fun. It's a Rolling Stone 159 song. Rolling Stone also rated it as the number 5 greatest Who song. Okay, remember these numbers. Yeah. 159 greatest song of all time. Number 5 greatest Who song. Okay, I'm going to skip down to Won't Get Fooled Again. Won't Get Fooled Again. So the last song on the second side. Yes. Yeah. Rolling Stone 295 of all time. Number 1 Rolling Stone Who song. Yeah. So you're going to have to explain that math to me. It's the Rolling Stones. Yeah. I don't know. I would have to say, 4 of these?
5 songs out of 9 are probably on their top 50.
40, but go on. Yeah, I think Baba O'Reilly, Bargain.
Going mobile.
I would say getting in and having glanced at that list before the show. I don't know. Every one of these songs could be on there. Maybe I don't know.
Going mobile, Behind Blue Eyes, Won't Get Fooled Again.
Yeah.
What's the number? Do you recall what the number 1 Who song is? I would have.
No, because my printer didn't work before I came here. The number one, my number 1 song probably would be "Won't Get Fooled Again," but I don't recall off the top of my head. We'll have to save that for
the 45.
For the 45. But Baba O'Reilly's in my top 5. Won't Get Fooled Again is in my top 5. My Generation probably be in my top 5. What's the actual number 1? I don't know. Do you know that this album originated as another rock opera? So Tommy, they were coming off of Tommy.
Right.
And
was that just Townshend was obsessed with rock operas?
Yeah, well, Tommy was wildly successful.
Sure.
And so now Townshend felt like he had to top that somehow. Like somehow he had to write something better than Tommy. And so he started working on another rock opera called Lifehouse. And he was having a really hard time with it, and he had written it and he'd shared it with the band members, and the band members were like, I don't understand this. It was like this dystopian, computerized society, which is where the synth things come from.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
you know what I mean? So it was starting to be about technology and music and a dystopian society. But it had all these other sort of subplots to it. And the band was like, I don't know. This just doesn't make any sense. So we ended up scrapping the project, but saving a bunch of songs. So Baba O'Reilly, Bargain, Love Ain't for Keeping, The Song Is Over, Getting in Tune, Going Mobile, Behind Blue Eyes, Won't Get Fooled Again, all were from this original concept of Lifehouse. And as it turns out, they probably did the right thing to scrap that because it came out less complicated. Like Tommy, to me, honestly, kind of pretentious. Like if you look at the track list to that, Quadrophenia also, I swear to you, Quadrophenia, I watched that whole thing and I'm like, just play Love Rain or Me, please. Can we get this over with?
Well, that's, I would say, and probably be thoroughly yelled at here in the comment section, but that is my problem with all rock operas is I think there's filler.
Yes.
You get some of these whether you're talking about The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway or you're talking about The Wall.
Right.
You have some things, some songs to connect the dots.
Right. I mean, you could say that about The Marriage of Figaro as well.
Probably, yeah.
So, right. I don't.
I actually couldn't say that about The Marriage of Figaro, but I get your point.
Right. That's true. That's definitely true. But I just think lots of filler on Tommy and not enough big songs.
I like Tommy much better than I like Quadrophenia.
Yeah. Right.
I'll get you there. All right.
Can I go back to Baba O'Reilly one more time?
We haven't even got off of Baba O'Reilly.
Because we should have just done a whole show on Baba O'Reilly. But it's important. Do you know why the title, what the title means?
Go ahead.
It's 2 of his mentors or people that he looked up to. And it's important because it reflects on the entire album.
Okay.
So this album is probably much more of a concept album than people think of it as.
Sure. I definitely didn't think of it.
Yeah. So Meher Baba is an Indian spiritual guide who Pete Townshend was very much in with, like was studying and trying to become more spiritual.
Was a kind of a thing that during
it was kind of a
the
thing.
Beatles were doing that whole
Right.
Eastern spirituality.
Yeah, and he was, and I think he was really sincere about it, and you can see it in the songs,
Sure.
and also trying to resolve his rock and roll lifestyle with this more peaceful, mystical spirituality.
Trying to find some balance.
And Riley is, I want to say Charles Riley. I apologize.
Charles
Not
Nelson?
Charles Nelson Riley. I knew that was coming. Come on.
Guy you met in a bar.
Terry Riley.
Terry Riley.
Terry Riley, who's a famous minimalist composer, classical composer. Yeah. Minimalism is that sort of repetitious sound when it repeats over and over again. So the beginning of Baba O'Reilly would be a very good example of the minimalistic classical sound. And he combined those two names because he had the spirituality of Meher Baba and then the sound of Terry O'Reilly, and hence Baba O'Reilly. And if we talk about the rest of the songs on this album, they all kind of fit that.
Yeah.
There's a spirituality throughout this album that most people don't realize is there.
All right, can we get to the second song?
We can. Well, I had to talk about the first song and get to the second song. The second song is Bargain, also a favorite of mine.
Yeah. Mine too.
Yeah. So the lyrics sound like a typical love song where the singer says he'll give up everything to win their love, and it would be a bargain. If I gave up everything,
would still be worth it.
It would be worth it.
Sure.
Except he's not singing about a woman. He's singing about God.
No. I was waiting for it to be like a car.
Right.
God. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is again a song that
it's spirituality coming in.
The spirituality coming in that people don't realize is there.
Sure. All right.
Love Ain't for Keeping.
Yeah.
Lovely song.
Lovely.
Kind of a family-oriented song coming out of like the first line of it talks about putting the kids to bed and things like that and laying in the grass. Very charming song. I like it. My Wife.
Not Townshend.
Entwistle.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Right. He sings it too.
Entwistle sings a song as well. Yes.
I can't. I actually can't think of another song off the top of my head that Entwistle sang.
He's got a few, but I don't have them off the top of my head. Right. I think he got the one song album treatment or something.
The
like
Ringo
that.
treatment.
Yeah, he got the Ringo treatment. But he wanted some of that songwriting cash,
that sweet songwriting.
Yeah, because being a bassist, not as dumb as he looks. So he got himself in on the songwriting. So yeah, it's kind of a funny song about him hiding from his wife who thinks he's having an affair.
Yeah. And then the song is over.
The song is over. Kind of a breakup song.
Yeah.
It's a lot of musical. Another thing that flows through this is the power of music and the importance of music.
I was going to say that's a bigger, fuller, richer sounding song.
Yes. Definitely. And again, a really quiet, kind of peaceful song. It does have like a louder part in the middle, but check out the drumming.
That's Townshend singing it?
It could be.
Well, he sings a couple,
I think
right?
he is. I do think he's singing.
So he sings that, and you think he sings.
They trade verses on certain songs, or they trade verse and chorus on a couple with Daltrey and.
They have great voices that are very distinctive, and it works. For like a rock opera where you're playing characters.
Yes.
I
always like it. I always like multiple vocalists in a band because it does give more variety.
Sure. I mean, even when there's a great vocalist like Roger Daltrey or like...
Yeah, you still need a break from it.
Every song... REM does that, and...
Every song won't get fooled again. I mean, you want to hear some different things.
Yep. Okay. Flipping this one over.
Yeah.
Get in tune.
Getting in tune. Another spirituality song. Yep, again, sort of getting
Finding
in tune with yourself.
Which is very that Eastern kind of...
Yes.
The Eastern religions of the...
Yes.
Meditation
sense centering and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Makes sense.
And definitely another also musical importance of music song. And Townshend really like for being Townshend's a super interesting person, to be honest. Like, because he was the hardest of rockers, but he definitely he was a smart guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes too smart. And he definitely lived that rock and roll lifestyle.
But I also think a lot of that stage performance was about getting attention.
Of course it was.
So that
it was almost contrived in a way.
Correct.
Yeah.
So smashing a guitar became a shtick.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even when they tried to get away from it, the fans really wouldn't let them. They wanted to see the guitar get smashed.
So you had him doing the windmill thing. You had him
Yes.
doing the jumping thing. You had him doing the smashing guitar thing. Yeah. So
Right.
Okay.
So that's all. Yeah. All this stuff is sort of just trying to get the various parts of his personality aligned and figure out what's going on. You know.
Well, genius is just one step from crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Going mobile is next, and it's not an ad for Verizon.
No, it's an ad for a camper. This was sung by Townshend.
Yeah.
So Roger Daltrey did not appear on this song at all. And it's literally about riding around the country in a mobile home, which is part of this Lifehouse rock opera that was being construed. So all of these songs...
Escaping the computers.
Right, it's true, yes.
Yeah.
It really is. So, yeah, if you kind of have that in the background, the link to these songs is a little bit stronger than people realize.
Mm-hmm. No, I got you.
Yeah.
One of my all-time favorites.
Behind Blue Eyes.
Behind Blue Eyes.
Yeah, it's US 34. Yeah, kind of about being an outcast or being misunderstood.
As the host often is.
It's hard being the host.
It is.
I don't give you enough credit.
You got to tie all this together.
You're doing a fine job.
Thanks.
Keep it up.
All right. And then the final song is We Won't Get Fooled.
We Won't Get Fooled Again. US 15, UK 9. This is the last song Keith Moon played with the band.
I was going to say this is a phenomenal encore song if you're going to pick an encore song.
Yeah, and I believe it was the encore when we went to see it. It's a crazy good song. And again, has a prominent synthesizer in it.
Yep.
And yeah.
All right, perfect album, legendary album, or whatever we're calling that.
Whatever,
now. Landmark album, yeah.
Okay, so Rolling Stone 5 out of 5 at the time. AllMusic 5 out of 5 at the time. You've already put down all your landmark things, so it'd be hard to say no. I'm not sure.
Bass player screwing it up for you?
Maybe.
You didn't want to say
my
it.
wife doesn't, so you could look at it as a palate cleanser, I suppose. And it's an amusing song. I don't dislike the song. And I think this discussion's going to come up later about favorites and everything in the show, because I have ideas. But there are a lot of favorites. Yeah, My Wife is probably the weakest song on the album. It just doesn't fit the flow of the songs quite the same. But it's fine. It's a great, great, great album. It's a landmark album. The Grammy Hall of Fame has inducted the specific album as having lasting quality or historical significance. Rolling Stone has it at 77. I think it's the best album by Hall of Famers, The Who, in my opinion. My favorite Who album. It's got the innovations of the synths, the hard rock, and is this
and the greatest cover?
Really?
Love the cover.
Okay, it's fine.
Where they're peeing on the monolith. Apparently, one of them, and I don't remember which one
sure
actually did.
I would think it was Keith Moon.
Actually, did pee. The rest of them, it's just water.
Pretend, yeah. No, I'm assuming it was. I would have to just guess. Keith Moon would be the one to do that.
Yeah.
It's multi-layered, as we've talked about. It has a lot more depth than people realize without looking into it.
Sorry, I just recalled. I found it really super amusing as a kid.
Yes.
the album cover.
A bit childish, perhaps. We would never pee on a monolith.
Well, everyone's watching.
Yeah. or Lambeau Field, or
That could be the cover.
that might be our
We
cover.
write a book.
Yeah. It's got that spiritual, romantic things. The skills of the band members that we've talked about are on full display in this album. This is a total landmark album, for sure.
Awesome. Well, now we got a live read.
Yes, we do. Two Fat Guys in an Album is sponsored by Deeper Connections Counseling, helping people connect to themselves, the people they love, and the world around them through individual and couples therapy for Illinois residents both in person and online. More information at dcctherapy.com.
Absolutely. And, we all sort of are in the midst of our own rock operas.
Yes, yeah. Ooh.
And there's times in our lives when things get a little difficult, and relationships get a little challenging, and it's all part of the game, man. And so there's nothing wrong with kind of reaching out to somebody for help. There's nothing wrong with you. There's no stigma attached to it. You're worth it. Your relationships are worth it. Your spouse or significant other is worth it. Your family's worth it. So don't be shy. Reach out for help. And if you're in Illinois anywhere, these are fantastic people. Either do person or online. You can communicate with them and have someone to talk to. We should all have someone to talk to. When our friends frustrate us with their commentary, it's good to have somebody else to call and vent a little bit or get recentered. And now a couple more sponsors.
Hey, Two Fat Guys and an Album fans. This is Diane Blackburn, realtor with Baird & Warner and proud sponsor of this podcast. I pride myself in being committed to serve as a trusted real estate advisor for all my clients. Whether you're looking to sell, buy, rent, or lease, feel free to reach out and let's chat about how we can work together to make it happen. If you're watching, scan the QR code for my website or give me a call at 630-638-1999. See you on the flip side.
Are you someone who needs help with their Instagram or TikTok? Well, you're in luck. LR Media is here to help. Email me at laurarose2003@aol.com to get started. Let's make your social media shine.
Welcome to Side 2, where we kind of talk about what's going on, what we've been listening to. I sent you a couple of things this week that I totally now I'm spacing out on. I know you sent me something that's kind of intriguing. We're also have been, at least for the last couple of shows, have been reviewing a new album by a significant artist that we feel is worth talking about. I'm not sure this is it, but we're going to do it anyway.
We'll do it anyway. Well,
Yeah.
you don't know. I mean, it's a review.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So you got a couple of
well, I just have a couple what's going ons. Psycho Killer by Talking Heads.
yeah.
Never had a music video. I don't know if you know that. In all of your years of watching MTV, there was not a Psycho Killer video. In honor of its 50th anniversary, they released a video for Psycho Killer. And it's pretty cool. It's really well done.
Did you see he's touring
He is touring.
with
You're going to have to tell me, but I've listened.
Adrian Belew?
Oh, is that right? Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. We could probably get backstage.
We know a guy.
Yeah, we got a guy.
Chauncey?
Oh,
Can you Chauncey, can you hook us up there?
yeah, touring with
Can you-
friend of the show, Adrian Belew.
Friend of the pod, Adrian Belew.
Okay, we're gonna have to look into that.
That-
He has a new song out as well, and I don't have the name of it off the top of my head.
But Adrian Belew actually played on like Remain in Light.
Right.
Right. So yeah, it's very.
So you may hear some of that. No, I would totally go see that.
Well, especially now that we got Chauncey and
Yes.
his buddy, friend of the pod,
Exactly.
Adrian Belew, can get us. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we'll-
awesome.
Okay. Yeah, Saoirse Ronan is in the video, so I recommend it. Just
Yeah.
go on, after you're done with the podcast, go onto YouTube and look
Absolutely.
up the Psycho Killer video that they decided to make.
This, I think, is significant enough that we would accept a pause while you go watch the video.
Yes,
and
as
then-
long as you promise
then
to come
back. Because you're not going to want to miss the side 3.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And then the Cure released a new album, and it's a remix of their new album. So, so they released an album in 2024 called "Songs of a Lost World,"
which was their first album
in quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they got some radio play off of it and everything.
There was a couple of good songs.
And as is their wont, they've done this a couple times. They just released a new album called Mixes of a Lost World, where they invited other composers and producers and DJs and what have you, whatever terminology you want to use, to remix the songs and do their own production on the songs.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty cool. If you like... it's electronic music.
I was going to say there's a lot of electronic,
Right. And it's with the blessing of the band,
right.
So there are these reimaginings of these songs. And you often talk about production and what does it mean and, what would it mean to have a different producer on a song. This is a great example. Like, you can listen to the 2024 album as The Cure decided to do it and how their producer decided to do it. And then you can compare that to, 2025, where they're completely reimagined. They're different songs. I mean, they're the same lyrics, they're the same singing, but they're done differently.
Well, that goes as far back as you want to go, right? Right. People reimagining stuff.
Yes. Well, in the sense, it could be like a cover band, right? A band can reimagine another song. These are like cover producers.
So, like, we talked about the passing of Norm Greenberg or whatever his name was.
No, I think you got it that time.
Spirit
in the Sky.
Spirit in the Sky.
Yeah.
That was covered by Doctor and the Medics.
Of course it was.
Look up that band.
Everybody knows that.
Look up that band sometime.
All right.
Doctor and the Medics.
Hopefully Chauncey will drop a version of that cover right here.
It's not even the cover. It's just a picture of the band.
Oh.
Yeah, it's an interesting group. I think they're still touring.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is how
like Manfred Mann's All Earth Band covering Springsteen.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that was a very different version of that song, which title I
Came
can't
for
pull.
You.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't.
No.
But off of his Greetings in Asbury Park.
Right.
Album.
Right. Blinded by the
Light. Yes.
Yeah. Look at that.
Look at us.
Remember
Look at
something.
us. Taking that creatine is paying off.
Yeah. So that will. But anyways, so instead of having a band covering music, you have producers covering songs with the blessing of the band.
Yeah, that's great.
And the one I liked, the one I sent you, was the first one off there called "I Can Never Say Goodbye" by Paul Oakenfold.
Who does a lot of he's an electronic.
Yeah, very highly regarded electronic musician. There's 3 versions of End Song on this, so there's a lot of you even get 3 different interpretations of the same song on this
which
album.
is cool.
It is cool.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on.
Okay, very good. And now we're going to look at a new album that was released in June of 2025.
Yes.
By
Matt Beninger.
Matt Beninger, who is the frontman for the National.
Right. I think they just go take breaks.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he was doing fascinating. So if you know anything about Matt, he kind of vanished here for a while. He released a solo album
2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, and then sort of vanished. He was dealing with a lot of depression kind of issues.
Right.
He sought help.
Yes.
And he's back, and so this was kind of his coming out of depression sort of album. There's a lot of more upbeat. Really shows his sort of wit and humor.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of that in there. I don't.
Well,
apparently I prefer him depressed.
You like the National, first of all.
I love the National.
Right. And so just a bit about the album. It's co-written and produced by Matt Beninger and Sean O'Brien. So Sean O'Brien, producer and co-writer for most of these songs, released on Book Records, the record company co-owned by Matt Beninger and Booker T. Jones of Booker T and the MGs.
No.
Yeah, who actually appears on this album. This is another album where they kind of created the music first and then found the words and the lyrics and the songs. They spent a lot of time just in the studio creating sounds and music, and then it came together in that way. And yes, it's definitely a little more happy, positive version of the National. I don't think it's as clever, quite honestly.
Well, I was going to say, now that you say that they kind of worked around the music. So his sort of his dry humor, is what really kind of makes all of his music sort of work.
Right, I agree.
And it's not here.
It's not here. It's not here enough. And I 100% agree with that. That's missing. He does sound great with the backup singers, Julia Laws of Ron Boy. Yeah. And Meg Duffy, who's the one person band Hand Habits, up here on this.
But she's part of another band.
Okay.
She's part of Kevin Morby's band.
Okay.
You know, she's the guitar player or something.
Oh, all right.
So a much better kind of song of her is from Kevin Morby. If you get a chance sometime, it's Bittersweet Tennessee.
Okay.
Is a great song by Kevin Morby, and it features her. And I think it's much better than this. And that being said, Breaking Into the Act, which features her.
Breaking Into Acting.
Breaking Into Acting is probably one of the better songs on the album.
Yeah. So as far as this album goes, I do have like 4 favorites on it. I do like
really.
I do. I like Inland Ocean quite a bit. Bonnet of Pins is my Song of the Year candidate. I think this is my favorite song, and just like we talked about Bob O'Reilly, I could spend the whole show talking about this particular song. It's a terrific song. And it does have Matt Beninger at his best. He's very poetic. He's very descriptive of the characters that are in this. He uses a lot of colorful language, and his wit is there. Do you know what Bonnet of Pins alludes to?
I would thought it would have been like a bonnet full of pins, like sewing or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably the image I had of it. It comes from an art exhibit by Angela Ellsworth of 35 bonnets, like prairie bonnets, people who moved across the country in the 1800s, like those type of bonnets.
Yep.
Representing the 35 Wives of Mormon founder Joseph Smith. And they're decorated with pins. There's these type of bonnets, okay? But they're decorated with corsage pins that are very long. They're like, you know, 2 inches, 3 inches long, maybe. Big, really long pins.
No, I get it.
But they have like pearls on the top, and they're colorful. So all these bonnets are decorated with hundreds of these pins. You can't wear a bonnet of pins such as this because the pins are all poking down. So it's not a bonnet, as I imagined upon first hearing, with pins sticking out of it. Yeah, it's a bonnet with pins that are all the way through, and you could not wear an actual bonnet of pins comfortably, at least. And so I think... So
wouldn't move. It wouldn't fall off.
It would not. It would not.
Wouldn't get tangled in your hair. Never mind.
Okay. Yeah, and it's a song about meeting up with an old flame, and it has full of nostalgia and emotions, both good and bad. There's also this idea of ghosts. Like, he's used the term in passing that it's a sort of about a ghost, but is it a literal ghost? Is it a figurative ghost, you know, because we have ghosts in our past, right? Or is it an actual ghost? And the thing is, you know, what is the bonnet of pins? Because a ghost could wear a bonnet of pins, but a real human couldn't. So then is the bonnet of pins a metaphor for like a crown of thorns? It's an amazing song. It's more than just a toe tapper of a song. I'm just going to say that. I love this song. It's a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant song. Breaking into Acting, as you mentioned, featuring Meg Duffy. That's the other one where I think his lyrical wit comes out.
I agree.
And then Times of Difficulty, which is the final song on the album, I like a lot. And again, thinking about somebody that's experienced depression and coming out of it, I think this song has that sort of meaning to it.
Feels folkier.
Skulkier?
Folkier.
Folkier. Yeah, probably a little bit folkier. And you automatically get me if your song has a Hammond B3 organ played by Booker T. Jones in it. And so that song wins for me.
So this is where that Times of Difficulty is where the title of the album comes from.
Correct.
From a lyric of that song.
Get sunk.
Right. So it says, in times of heartache, get drunk.
Yes.
In times of tears, get sunk.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's...
There's in times of shame, forget. In times of weather, get wet. I love it. I think I really like it a lot.
Okay.
So 4 favorites on the album. Not a perfect album.
Recommend, not recommend?
I recommend it. I think if you're a fan of Matt Beninger, you probably like it. I think it's worth a spin all the way through. And again, talking about skips and everything, like I don't really like ever since the invention of favorites, I either listen to an album or I listen to the favorites off the album. So when I listen to an album, I typically don't skip anything.
Which, speaking of favorites, we are now building one, aren't we?
We are. Yes, that's hot off the presses. We're building a Apple a shared playlist, 2 Fat Guys in an Album playlist, and we'll it's got songs on it from all the shows. We're trying to pick a couple from all the bands we talked about.
We'll let the Maestro kind of
well, you just threw out a couple songs that we should add to it.
Sure.
Which I've already forgotten, but they're super interesting. But I listen to the show all the time, so when we do the descriptions and everything, we can add those in.
We're going to curate this this playlist as we go forward. So it'll be kind of a living, breathing document of the show on its own in Apple.
And I think it's interesting because it's already, it's got 20 shows worth of songs on it. So it's about 4 hours of music already. And it's kind of curious whether or not it works as a playlist. Like, would you put this playlist on and listen to it? Because it's all over the place. Yeah. Like, it has all the classic rock. It has the Doors on it. And then it'll have whatever band you... Tragically Hip. And then
Sheepdogs?
Yeah.
Nice.
There are. There are 2 Sheepdogs. They're representative. There are Sheepdog songs on it. There are Bruce Hornsby songs on it. So a little bit. Some of the music that we're talking about, a little representative of everything that we talk about.
Nice. Well, why don't you wrap up this review, and then I'll give my final thoughts on it.
So, so I would listen to the album as a whole. I do recommend listening to the album as a whole. If you listen to current music, you must have heard Bonnet of Pins because it's all over the place. But if you haven't, that's the song I would go to. And then Breaking into Acting is my second favorite on this song. So those are 2 really solid songs. But I agree with you. It doesn't have... I don't mind the upbeatness and the happiness, but it lacks the wit and creativity and just how visual his writing usually is and how specific and his writing is and poetic. And it's lacking that. So I like it, though. I'm going 7 Fat Guys with it.
Nice. Okay. You're, again, I think a little more generous than I am. I understand that he was in a dark place. Mm-hmm. He had a couple of years of struggles, and this is sort of him kind of coming out of that. And, he needed a little bit of a therapy album. I like a couple songs off of it, the songs you have already mentioned. Bonnet of Pins is a very good song. Breaking into Acting. I don't like Inland Island all that much. I think Silver Jeep is probably a better song than that.
Okay.
Little by Little isn't a bad song. There's nothing like horrible in here, but it's not him. So he is. I know. So he is kind of has the well-earned reputation, I think, of the sad dad of indie rock.
Sure.
And that's kind of the persona he's sort of built up. So the fact that I am attached or attracted to that persona and the music that comes out of that, and he gave me something different that I'm not all that enamored with. It's he threw a couple of fastballs here right down the middle, but I think there was a big swing and a miss kind of on the curveball of the album as a whole.
Yeah.
For a baseball metaphor.
I was going to say, I swear to you, there are a bunch of singles on this and a couple home runs.
Yeah.
I did not think that there were any actual strikeouts, but there's a. I generally agree with your assessment.
He has an amazing voice. He's a great lyricist. Some of the work he's done with the National, I think, is just amazing. That band. So it's his voice and his lyrics kind of wrapped with amazing musicians that kind of make up the National.
Right.
And his
sort of moodiness.
Yeah, and this is just not here with this.
And
so I think it's a miss. And so I was going 4 Fat Guys.
Okay.
So
yeah.
All right, I gotta leave all this here because we're only on side 2.
Yep.
And wrapping that up, we got a couple more sponsors, and we'll be back as we turn this album over and get into side 3.
This episode of Two Fat Guys in an Album is brought to you by Smidge Films. If you're looking to bring your ideas to life with some cool cinematic work, Smidge Films has you covered. From brand stories to promos, we'll help you tell your story in a way that really sticks. Check us out and see what we can do for you.
Welcome to side 3, which is Beyond Classic Rock. So this is where we kind of introduce our audience of classic rock superfans to some newer music that I think ties very well with sort of the classic rock we were all sort of raised on.
Yeah.
And in this case, we're talking about the 1994 Guided by Voices.
So not that new, just newer than
newer than
next.
1971.
It is newer than that.
Yeah. So it's and personally, I could have done this as a main album. I think B1000 by Guided by Voices is a kind of monumental album in the lo-fi world.
Of course you do.
And this is just so this is Guided by Voices, which I'm assuming is the pride of Dayton, Ohio.
I would guess so. I'm not
right there
familiar.
with the Dayton Flyers and the wagon, I would think.
All right. Yeah, must be. Yeah, I mean this album they have been compared to the Who in the past, Guided by Voices, as having a Who-like lo-fi sound. I hear it in their very, very, very early, like the Who's first album might sound a little bit like this. And yeah, post-punk, lo-fi, indie rock. To me, it's a punk band. Like, I'm not like this, and they're lo-fi in that they're obviously this is recorded in basements or in garages, so it does have that lo-fi sound. It's recorded on a 4-track, a Tascam 4-track recorder. You can hear the tape spinning on some of these songs. So it's definitely has that lo-fi sound. I don't even know why they used 4 tracks because it doesn't sound like it's been mixed at all. But at any rate, they had 4 tracks to play around with to get this sound. The Guided by Voices, Robert Pollard is the songwriter, and it's not really a one-man band, but he has a very open-door policy with who he plays with.
Correct.
Yeah.
But there is really, when you talk about this sort of version of Guided by Voices, and this lo-fi sort of stripped-down feel, there is Robert Pollard. His songwriting is definitely, and his lyrics and his delivery.
Yeah.
But the music and the 4-track, and where they kind of slip in and out of kind of this sound is Tobin Sprout.
Okay.
And he, I think, is the real backbone to the sound that you hear here.
And what does Tobin do?
Well, he's the guy with who owns the 4-track.
So he's the producer.
He's the 4-track guy.
Well, usually it's the band leader that owns the equipment.
So and he is kind of the guy who sort of came up with the sound.
Sort of the creative.
Yeah. So
voice
it's the
of
two
it?
of them together. Where definitely he comes and goes in the band.
Yeah. But he's the architect of this sound.
Yeah, he's really a guy who wants to be a painter.
Mm-hmm.
Who can make some money playing some instruments and recording with the 4-track.
Right.
But you can go and buy Tobin Sprout artwork on.
Oh,
online.
okay.
Tim Allen is a big fan of his art.
Oh, that's super interesting.
Yeah. So that's what he wanted to be. So he comes and goes, but he's the architect.
I
Of the
thought you
sound.
meant a house painter. Well, it's probably more lucrative than being a member of Guided by Voices, at least in the early days.
Yeah.
They have 41 full-length albums.
Yeah.
They just released one maybe last year. They have a very recent
Which sounds
release.
very, very different than this.
Pollard, as a solo artist, has 22 solo albums. He has 3,000 songs registered to him.
Well, when they're only a minute 20 seconds long, you can write a lot of songs.
Yeah, and when you don't care how good they are, you can write a lot of songs too.
Ouch, come on.
Paste calls him the 78th greatest living songwriter.
Oh.
Okay. So I watched the final concert, their final concert in 2004, which is when they first thought that they were going to have a final concert. That was actually recorded at the Metro in Chicago on New Year's Eve.
Which is not a very big venue.
No, it's small. But it's a legendary venue.
It is a legendary venue.
Yeah, I
but
don't know. I'm
small
gonna
for
guess,
somebody
I would guess 600 people, 500.
Which sounds small for the going away party of a.
It does, and it sounds
band.
just about right.
Wow.
But that concert is 4 hours long.
That's like 350 songs.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is they started like at 11.
No, sure.
It's a New Year's Eve concert.
Yeah.
So they did an hour of music, did the countdown, and then played till like 3 a.m.
Nice.
He was a stumbling drunk by the time the
Yeah, sure.
concert was over. He's quite the character, I will say.
Yeah.
Contemporaries of Pavement and Bright Eyes.
Yeah.
They sort of, for some reason, intertwine. I don't see it. B1000 is their 7th studio album. It's got 20 songs on it. Considered a landmark indie rock album by those who know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
I
clearly.
don't. So,
We've established that.
yeah, I don't. And I feel like, I want to be the hip, cool guy that understands. But I cannot sit here and tell you that I understand. They did all these songs on minimal takes with no rehearsal. Took them about 30 minutes to record each song, and it sounds like it. Most of the songs were actual demo tracks, like the type of tracks you would make to just say, hey, I got an idea for a song, and then you make it a song, except they never make it a song. They intended to sound like Beatles bootlegs. That's like he's used those words. Like, we want these to sound like bootleg records or, songs in like demo songs. And on the way here, I was listening to some Beatles bootlegs, and they're a lot better than this. But I want you to explain it to me. I want you to sell me on Guided by Voices, because I listened to this album multiple times. I watched the 4-hour concert video. I did my due diligence with it. And I know I've read off a ton of accolades that this band gets. So tell me what I'm missing.
No, well, if you don't appreciate the sound, you don't appreciate the sound, and that's fine. But it's this.
And I don't have an aversion to lo-fi itself. Like, we go back to like the Mountain Goats or some of that stuff, and I love the sound.
Well, I think this is very. It's that same sort of witty lyrics, that's going on. the Gold Heart Mountaintop Queen Directory,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is probably my favorite song on this album. Is
Okay.
you only have to invest like a minute 45 into
It's
that.
true. They're all very kind of short.
I think that's
the one you like the most.
That is, well, I think Tractor Rape Chain, Hardcore UFO, Echoes of Myron, Gold Star for Robot Boy, and then I Am Scientist is they're just amazing.
So just to prove
song.
that I listened to the whole album, You're Not an Airplane. I have a new designation because we have likes and we have favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I have don't hates. I'm adding don't hate to the lexicon, and I don't hate Gold Star for Robert Boy.
Yeah.
And I don't hate You're Not an Airplane, and I don't hate I Am a Scientist. Sorry, I'm a Scientist. And I Am a Scientist, I would say, is probably the most accessible song on the album. I don't know if you feel that it's representative of the album enough to point people to, because it is I think, again, the most accessible, the least kind of guided by voices sounding song on the album. It's the radio song, for lack of a better word, I think.
So I rattled off 5 songs there.
Yeah.
And, you have to invest a total of 11 minutes of your life
to
listen to those 5 songs. So you're not investing a lot of time. They're all good. There are some, there are some fillers, but I do think this is just the indie rock. So this is like true indie rock. We talked about
independent.
Yeah, we talked about that before.
Right, independent of
and that,
record companies.
Right, and that's what I just love about this. This is just a bunch of people getting together and making music, which I think you would appreciate. But we've heard before with the Sheepdogs that you hate it when it's, I don't know, is it not corporate enough? Is it not overproduced
No, the Sheepdogs
enough?
are exceptionally overproduced in corporate, so that is not it. So you are wrong about that. This is just not good. I think.
Oh my God.
I think if you write, look, people who are professional writers, professional songwriters, probably people who write books for a living, they write every day.
Sure.
Okay, it's their job. They write. So someone who's a songwriter is probably going to write at least one song a day, maybe more. Okay? Someone who writes books is going to write, 1,000 words a day, whether they feel like it or not. They go to work, they put on their pants, and they write. That's what they do. Okay? But then they take out the crappy songs and don't expose the world to them. Or they take the idea of a song like, oh, this is a pretty good idea. Let's hash this out and make something good out of it. These are literally,
Give me a song you just hate.
I gave you the songs I don't hate by the power of deduction or induction.
So
I don't
Kicker of
remember which.
Elves?
Kicker of Elves I don't hate.
I was going to say, that's a pretty good song.
No, Kicker of Elves I don't hate. No, the other ones, it's just noisy. Like if you
Hardcore UFOs?
It didn't make the don't hate.
Yeah.
It didn't make the don't hate. And the interesting about seeing them live, at least the live movie, because I thought, well, maybe this is it. Maybe I'm averse to the lo-fi properties of this, and seeing them live would be different because they have a sound man and a mixing board, and you're just getting the live sound, and it changed nothing for me. It's
Sorry.
I do think, I know for a fact that people like this band, and I know for a fact that they're highly regarded. Rolling Stone gave it a 4 out of 5 and compared them to REM and Nirvana.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like, I don't understand.
This is the independent version of that. This is the total.
But
this
REM was independent.
Yeah.
Nirvana was
totally
a grouch band,
whole...
and then they took their ideas and made them presentable to the world. I don't think taking a bunch of songs... I literally don't understand it. I don't. I would never do it. If I created music that sounded like this, I would not release it, or I would develop it into fuller songs that would be more presentable.
You're just sounding dumber.
I'm just telling you my take on it. They sound like unfinished songs that might have a snippet of a good idea occasionally.
So I'm going to go with, you're not going to go this as a landmark album?
I think it probably is a landmark album, but against my better judgment. I think
And
the
not
rest.
a perfect album.
I think the rest of the world. Well,
Yeah.
not the rest of the world, but the indie world,
Right.
the low punk world, certain bands recognize them. So I consider this in the world of indie lo-fi.
Foundational music.
It is, even though I don't like it. So I acknowledge it
Yeah,
as a
that's fine.
landmark album. I don't have it as a perfect album. It's not even a perfect don't hate album. I have like 4 songs on it that I don't hate. There's not one song on this album, even Kicker of Elves does not make it to like a playlist of mine, or I Am a Scientist does not make it to a playlist of mine.
All right. So everybody watching at home, or listening in the car, listen to the Gold Heart Mountaintop Queen Directory. Listen to Gold Star for Robot Boy. Listen to I Am a Scientist. Listen to Kicker of Elves, Echoes of Myron, Tractor Rape Chain, and please leave a comment telling the maestro how wrong he is.
Bring it on and explain it to me so I can understand it. I kind of know I'm wrong, I just don't know why. And I haven't heard anything to change my mind.
All right, that's fine. Let's
Other than a lot of other people think it's important.
let's leave it there. It's a masterful album.
Okay.
Let's leave it there. We don't have a sponsor for the next kind of flip, so we will.
Just going to flip
We're
right
just
there.
going to flip it live here.
Yeah.
Boop, turn it over. And we are now on side 4, where the maestro ranks the album, the headline album here.
Yeah, who's next?
Who's next?
It's a pretty big album.
It is.
Tell me just again why the Who aren't considered punk, at least in the early moments. Like smashing guitars, kicking over drum sets, jumping around, screaming, hitting their instruments really hard.
Yeah, I don't. They were doing other things.
What? What?
Well, I don't think you have a rock opera punk band.
At least in the early days.
Because there wasn't punk at that time?
So did they not invent it?
No.
All right. Again, another great explanation. I just bring it up because I toyed with where to put them, obviously, and
Sure.
and we have some punk bands on
We do.
here. We have the Clash, we have the Violent Femmes.
Yeah.
I think that's it for now. And I was trying to figure out where this sort of fits in, and obviously it's a ultimate super landmark album. At the top of my list is Sgt. Pepper and Moondance 1-2. I've got this album at 8. I have it behind the Violent Femmes,
Mm-hmm.
and I have it ahead of London Calling at 8. I have Violent Femmes at 7, Who's Next at 8, London Calling at 9, and again, these are all spectacular albums.
Yeah.
But that's where I put it. It's and here's where it gets again annoying, because we have at this time 23 great albums. Can't we just say we got 23 great albums? Aren't they just great albums? Does there have to be a winner?
22 in Dream of the Blue Turtles.
Does there have to be a winner and a loser?
Yeah.
So I put them at 8. That's where
I think it's fine.
That's where I slot it. But it takes nothing away from any of the other albums.
No, it's Hall of Fame band, Hall of Fame album.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Great. All right. That's awesome. We'll leave that there. The next show we are doing is Nothing Shocking, an album by Jane's Addiction.
1988.
Yeah, 1988.
Yep.
That is.
Which is shocking to me, because I actually thought it was a 90s
I would
album.
too.
Right.
I thought they were a 90s band.
Right.
Right.
So already
Yeah.
finding something.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
We'd like to thank our production team from Smidge Films, Chauncey there, our PR team, LR Media, and, of course, all of our sponsors, Deeper Connection Counseling, Diane Blackburn from Beard & Warner, Smidge Films, LR Media. You can find us. Please hit the like and subscribe button. We see some of our shows are starting to blow up a little bit, so keep riding this train. We appreciate you all.
And look for that playlist in the go to YouTube. So even if we appreciate if you're listening on Apple
or
or
Spotify
or whatever,
iHeart.
but we'll link the playlist to the YouTube shows.
Awesome. Okay, so there you have it.
Unless our people can figure out how to link it in Spotify and Apple.
Yeah. Not these people, I can tell you that much. All right. With that, I am Fat Guy 1.
Fat Guy 2.
We'll see you next time.
Really on a roll today. By the way, I hope you're...
I was in church chuckling about having written that opening.
You were so proud of yourself.
Well, sooner they came up with quite slow. I was like...
no,
Right,
no,
the
I'm not
Maestro.
going to use that. Yes, I am.
Knows what it's like to be the bad man.